Premiering this Tuesday on video, Pokemon Mewtwo returns. From the far reaches of the Johto region, an old nemesis returns.
I am Mewtwo.
To battle his fiercest opponent ever.
You.
In a brand new movie adventure.
Pikachu!
Mewtwo returns in the sequel to Pokemon the first movie.
Do not test the limits of my power.
Pokemon Mewtwo returns. Premiering this Tuesday on video cassette and DVD.
Welcome back to Nice One 983, Amiibo collecting. Guys, super excited for this review right here. I am a huge Pokemon fan. Very huge. Been down since 98. And my favorite Pokemon is Mewtwo. I have always loved this Pokemon from back in the red and blue days where you had to go to the Cerulean Cave and hunt this guy down and fight him. To be honest, I didn't even waste time fighting him. Kind of used the Master Ball, but it is what it is. This Pokemon is very significant to me as a gamer. So I was so pleased when they announced him to be DLC in Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. So guys, what we're going to do right now is I'm going to get this guy unboxed, and you're going to get your first of 3 trophy descriptions. So we'll be right back. Created from modified Mew DNA, Mewtwo was designed to be the ultimate Pokemon. It didn't take on any of Mew's kinder traits and only uses its intelligence to destroy its enemies, or so it seems. Perhaps it just feels frightened or even tormented, and that's why it lashes out. Whatever the reason, Mewtwo is not to be messed with. Welcome back. Hope you guys really dug that trophy description. Mewtwo has some of the better trophy descriptions in my opinion, so I'm really happy to be doing his trophy descriptions, as I always am to read trophy descriptions on this show. It is always a pleasure, and I will be so sad when they're done. Well, like I said, we can still do them, so let's enjoy them while we can. Mewtwo's pose is epic. The first thing that I notice while looking at this figure, though, is the intense look on Mewtwo's face. Look at how prominent that brow is, that scowl that's on his face, that little look like I'm about to mess you up because I am the baddest Pokemon on the planet. It looks great. The colors, they're like a muted gray with a highlight of purple. It looks great. One thing you should notice right off the bat is the long tail. It makes up roughly a third of Mewtwo, but it looks amazing. The color, the way the tail is shaped, it all looks so good. This already is one of my favorite Amiibo to look at. This is the reason why we buy Amiibo, because they are so detailed. There are Pokemon toys like made by Bandai that don't look as good as this Amiibo. It's mind-boggling. The person who's coming up with these, who's sculpting these based off the Smash trophies, is really knocking it out of the park. But let's go ahead and let's give him a quick turn so you can see the side and the back. Since he's already standing sideways, let's just go straight to the back. You see that tail. You see that Mewtwo is on a clear stand. Glad Nintendo's been going with the clear stands lately. I could not take any more P-yellow stands or freaking the Star Fox purple peg. Just can't go that route anymore. I'm loving the attention to details on Mewtwo. The shoulders, where they look like shoulder pads, looking really good. The 3 fingers outright, and then the one hand clutched inwards. He is sick. Let's go ahead and rotate again. And there you have the other side. Still, harder to tell, but you still see that intense look in his eyes. See his 2 toes. The pose is great. This would technically be the front of the Amiibo. He's still looking bad. But as far as how he stands on the Smash coin, this is the way he would be. More like that. This is such a good looking amiibo. It really is. And I'm so happy that we're getting DLC amiibo. Because some of the DLC poses look really good. And this one in particular really transitioned well into amiibo form. This is actually probably better than the amiibo that were planned in the opening stages of amiibo design. This is insanely good, insanely detailed, and so happy to have Mewtwo as part of the Pokemon set in Smash Bros. Guys, we're going to cut to one quick trophy description. Then we're going to go into comparison time and then score time. So we will be right back. Mewtwo puts its psychic powers to great use in this game. Not only does it have floaty jumps, but its telekinesis gives its attacks extra reach and its throws added power. However, its light body makes it easy to launch, so if you're willing to take the risk of getting in close, it just might be worth it. And we are back yet again. And guys, it is comparison time. And what I have here is a special treat. If you guys watched the Amiibo episode of the Splat Zones, I talked a little bit about Pokemon Rumble U, which was Nintendo's first foray into NFC featured figures. So what I had to do was, I had to bring out two of my favorite Pokemon Rumble U figures. And that's Mewtwo, standing on the left side of your screen, and Mew standing on the right side of the screen. So here, this is one of the better things I get to do because I get to show you a comparison between Nintendo's other attempt at making NFC figures. Here you see a huge difference in quality. Whereas the Rumble U figures are designed to look like Pokemon if they were Miis. Whereas the Amiibo is a much more traditional style. Another thing you can tell right off the bat is, other than the quality of the figure, whereas the Rumble U figures have a really shiny, glossy appearance to them, is the size. The way that they distributed the Rumble U figures was in Gachapon figures in Japan, and we got them through GameStop. They weren't too expensive, but they were, not a little expensive for what they actually are, I guess. I don't know how much it actually costs to produce NFC chips or stickers as they are. Can't be that much. The Pokemon Rumble U's ran about $4.99 per one, and I bought me a whole box. So I got a couple of good ones. But Mewtwo was one of my favorites, and then to pull a Mew in that box was also pretty cool. But the Rumble U figure has nowhere near the level of just utter detail. But I do like is that the Pokemon Rumble U figures are standing on a little Pokeball NFC base. Just looking at this figure, see, let's try to replicate that pose that Mewtwo has here. You see, the quality is just not the same. And Mew, let's go ahead and give him a little turn too. Mew's a little, the Mew figure I think works better than the Mewtwo. It's just super cute, but for the most part, I really did appreciate the Rumble U figures when they were out. I thought it was a good idea, and I was kind of hoping Nintendo would take another stab at this whole NFC thing. Clearly they did, and we got some awesome figures when they did. I'm glad Nintendo took the time to kind of prototype it, essentially. I consider the Pokemon Rumble U figures as a prototype, and of course it's been wildly successful for them in the long run. Maybe the Rumble U figures didn't sell as well as they initially wanted them to, but you know damn well that the Amiibo figures are selling like crazy. Can't even keep them on the shelf. The demand was so wild in the beginning. Mewtwo's final smash starts as Mewtwo Mega evolves into Mewtwo Y. It then fires a huge psychic projectile that penetrates enemies and obstacles. This projectile doesn't do any damage, but it freezes every foe it hits in place. They can even be frozen mid-jump. Afterward, every foe hit with this projectile will take a powerful psychic hit to the head. And we are back for score time. Yeah, you know this is my favorite time, guys. And this one kind of pains me a little bit. Mewtwo is such a well-designed figure. The figure itself is gorgeous, just straight up gorgeous. But at the end of the day, he's on a stand. And it's one of those things that kills me because there have been a lot of really good Amiibo that just weren't. You could tell that when they came up with the concept for Amiibo, it was very late in the design stage of the Smash game. These poses were not meant to be made into figures. It's unfortunate. But Mewtwo, there was actually no excuse for Mewtwo. Because Mewtwo was a DLC character. They should have been able to design him in a way that he would not require a stand. I don't know if it's just... I don't want to blame Nintendo for being lazy. But there's just something off-putting about the fact that this character wasn't part of the initial game, got added at a later date, and yet they still didn't take the consideration to put him in a pose that would nullify the need for a stand. That being said, though, it is such a good pose that it almost makes up for it. Mewtwo would have got a perfect 10 had it not been for him coming on a stand. That's how much I enjoy this figure. But because it comes on a stand, Mewtwo misses the mark and he gets a 9. 9 is still extraordinarily good. It just doesn't meet the standards for a perfect 10. And now, if you want to go back and compare my Mario score, which I did give the classic 8-bit Mario and the modern 8-bit Mario perfect 10s, the reason I gave those figures perfect 10s, even though they are on a stand, is because there was enough work done everywhere else on the figure to give it such a high score. And the fact that that Mario is in the jumping pose. It's supposed to look like he's jumping. Mewtwo is in a very stationary, stagnant pose that should not require the use of a stand. So, in case you're wondering how I do my criteria, it's based on the little details like that. 9, but that's still good. And this is still a definite must-have if you're a Smash fan or a Pokemon fan. That's going to be it for our episode today, guys. But, as always, you can hit me up on Twitter at niceone983. You can email me at niceone983@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/niceone983gamecollecting. As always, please go ahead and check out that brand new website, niceone983.wix.com/gamecollecting. And if you are a fan of the Splat Zones, you can now listen to us on the Stitcher Radio app. If you don't have Stitcher, go ahead and download that so you can listen to the Splat Zones and thousands of other podcasts. And we are also available for download on iTunes. Yes, iTunes, we have arrived. So, if you want to hear great shows about Amiibo, Pokemon Go, competitive Smash, and the top 10 video games of all time, go listen to the Splat Zones. Because me and Mario After Party are killing it with these episodes. And for the people who have been watching and listening and providing us with all that feedback, thank you. You guys are the reason we are doing that show. Anyway, guys, I'm going to be out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Watch out for Amiibo hunters on the prowl.